So today, I've got actually a panel right after this at 4:30 for those of you who want to hop into that panel and get some other kind of, really nice words from other people. And we're going to be talking about the Ascension. I figured today, in this lecture, this time that I have, I really wanted to talk about unity. And when we talk about the portal to ascension and moving into this new higher vibrational place, we're talking about this 5D vibration. And to best understand 5D vibration, we have to understand what unity is, what unity looks like. And of course, to understand what unity is, we have to understand what polarity is. So if you're at home right now, if you're listening to this, I highly recommend you grab your notebooks and your pens because I've got tons of content here about unity. I actually have 3 steps and then I have more steps within the steps. So definitely something that you're probably going to want to write down and maybe even replay afterwards. So the first thing that we have to talk about is understanding polarity, right? In order to get into 5D, we need to understand 3D. We need to understand polarity. And I've talked about this before, but I'll say it again. We are moving from a polarity consciousness into a unity consciousness. So my definition of polarity is a pretty clear definition, a division within a whole. Right? Division within a whole is basically what polarity is. We are whole individuals when we are born onto this planet. And piece by piece, we actually separate ourselves from source and we become these fractals of individuals. And that's the polarity within us. So here are some polarizing facts that all of you need to know. First of all, we live in a polarized binary reality. There is no escaping polarity. There is no running away from it. There's no getting away from it. That's just a fact. That's where we're living. All right. Fact number 2. Society is structured to push polarity. It is structured that way. So not only can we not get away from it within our matrix 3D reality, but we can't even get away from it within our education system, political system, economic system, right? So the whole mindset, leading up to this point right now has been divide and conquer. That's been the mindset. And polarity, the energy of polarity and this 3D vibration, it actually also pushes us into this fight or flight mentality. Right? It divides us even within our own mind. And it's always been this energy of us versus them, one versus the other, right? I mean, once again, we're living as a fractal, a piece of who we could really be, of what we could really accomplish, of the vibration that we could really experience. And also, this really prompts and embellishes limiting beliefs, right? When we're living as a fractal, when we're living polarized, when we're living in 3D, we are continuously replaying these limiting beliefs without even knowing it. So in order to move from polarity into unity, we just need to be aware of what polarity is. We just need to be aware of the limiting beliefs that we have in our life first and foremost, in order to say that no longer serves me and I'm ready for something different. Once again, we are the only creator of our reality. It is through our conscious observation that changes this reality. But we need to be aware of what we need to change before we change it, right? So you need to take a look at the darkness within your life. You need to take a look at the polarity within your own life in order to be able to change it. So I also want to mention too, a lot of polarity, a lot of our own limiting beliefs are also coming from past lifetimes, which is very difficult to overcome because we don't necessarily see it as clearly as we would see a trauma coming from childhood. So I'm going to give you all a little bit of homework, maybe right after this lecture, or maybe some other time today or this week. I want all of you to write down at least a minimum of 3 limiting beliefs. You probably have more than that. I have a lot more than 3 myself. But three main ones to really target and to be aware of is going to be really important. I'm going to give you some examples of some limiting beliefs that I find with clients, with myself, and just kind of with the human condition and some of these very traditional limiting beliefs. A really good one, a prime one that all of us tend to hold in one way or another based on the limiting structure and the polarizing reality that we're living in is happiness or prosperity. I can't be happy if I'm wealthy. I can't be wealthy if I still want to be happy, right? That goes deep, not only deep within our society, but that goes deep into a lot of past lifetimes, right? Over and over again. So a couple of other limiting beliefs and polarizing concepts that we embed within our systems, within our souls. I do not deserve to receive versus I deserve to receive it all, right? Two very opposite ends of the extreme. I always need to sacrifice myself as a mother versus I never have to sacrifice myself as a mother, right? It doesn't have to be all one or all the other. That's where we get trapped. We get trapped and stuck within polarity. We get trapped and stuck within one extreme end of things or the other. Once again, I mean, I can't say that it's your fault, even though we do create our own reality, because every aspect of this paradigm is projecting this polarity at us, including these limiting beliefs that we have incurred and created from past lifetimes as well. Another example here, like I mentioned, the happier I am, the less money I make, right? So there's that money and happiness. Or to be spiritual, I must abandon or mute my human, right? To be more spiritual, to be more psychic, I must abandon or mute or get rid of my ego, my human, and what have you. And that, once again, is not the case. You can thrive as a human being and thrive as a spiritual, psychic, divine, intuitive being of light as well. You can have it all. I am giving you permission right now in this moment to have it all, to say yes and yes, right? You have to find that middle ground. Once again, unity is about saying yes and yes. Unity consciousness is 5D consciousness. And we're going to get into this deeper and deeper. So once again, step number one to bring yourself from polarity consciousness into unity consciousness, from 3D into 5D, is to just simply be aware of your own limiting beliefs, be aware of your own polarity, and how you're living your life, right? Step number one is just bring awareness to the dark stuff. You have to take a look at it in order to change it. All right, step number two to move into 5D is to neutralize polarity, to neutralize that polarity. So you're aware of it and you're thinking to yourself, uh-oh, what do I do from here, right? Where do I go next? And the next step that we have to take is the neutrality of it. If you resent yourself for holding limiting beliefs, if you're hating on yourself for being polarized, if you're, not loving the human experience, right? If you are resentful towards 3D, right? You're going to continue to repeat those patterns. If you resent it, the interesting part is you actually attach yourself to it more, because then you're creating the identity of not loving being human. I'm a starseed, so I struggle with being human. Yes, absolutely. Many of us starseeds struggle with being human, but the more that you repeat that to yourself, the more you're taking away this abundance ability, right? This ability to manifest in 3D. If you're constantly reminding yourself and creating the identity of, I'm always going to struggle as a human because I'm a starseed. Do you see how that limiting belief really affects every aspect of your reality? And believe it or not, by even just saying, I'm a starseed, so I struggle with being a human, that locks you into being a human a lot more. Freedom is unity, is 5D, is not getting rid of 3D. It's conquering it. It's mastering it by fully understanding what 3D is, by fully understanding what your limiting beliefs and polarity are. You become above it, right? So here's what we can do to neutralize that polarity and those limiting beliefs in your life. So once again, fact, we can never get rid of polarity, not as a human being anyway, right? Maybe if we get into the 10th, 11th, 12th dimensional beings, you know, maybe we can kind of decrease the polarity in that way. But right now we can't. So we have to neutralize it. And by neutralizing the polarity in our life or those limiting beliefs, essentially it no longer controls our life. We're no longer making decisions from a limiting belief point of view. So neutrality basically allows us to be much more conscious and much more present in our life. And that allows us to essentially use our free will and to create any life that we want to live. It gives us absolute freedom because it takes us away from the fight or flight mechanisms of our own brain and of society as a whole. So here's what we need to do to neutralize polarity. I have 3 steps within this 3-step process. Okay, so first step in how to neutralize your polarity is, and this is just a repeat of step number 1, be aware of polarity, be aware of your limit. You know, and that's just really important. That awareness is everything. If you can be aware of your own thoughts, then you can start to change your thoughts, which in a sense changes your entire reality, your entire physical reality, once we get a handle over those thoughts. Step number 2 in neutralizing polarity is asking deeper questions. Where is this coming from? Why do I react in this way? Why do I feel this way? Okay, asking yourself deeper questions. Where is this limiting belief coming from? Once we understand, even if you understand, oh, it's probably a past lifetime, maybe you want to follow through on doing a past life regression. There's tons of past life regression meditation tapes, YouTube videos, that are out there. Maybe you want to see a past life regressionist. Maybe you want to pull some past life cards, oracle cards, and that's going to help guide you. But we have to be searching for those answers. We have to understand where these limiting beliefs are coming from. If it's childhood, if you understand that it's because your father never supported you in the way that you needed at an emotional level, then maybe you need to have a conversation with your father. Maybe you need to write him a letter that's going to neutralize that polarity. We have to get back to the source of the trauma. We have to get back to the source of the polarity and the limiting beliefs in your own life in order to neutralize it, right? Every single time we're like, oh, well, the universe will take care. Oh, well, everything happens for a reason, which yes, I believe in both of those things, but we're also spiritual bypassing by looking the other way, putting a Band-Aid on the wound and saying it'll heal itself. And it won't. And I think a lot of you know that because you've done the spiritual work. You know, you've really dived into that shadow self, and you've done that ego death. But I'll say that it's just never an end, right? We have to keep going deeper and deeper. And as we're stripping back the layers of limiting beliefs and polarity within our own life, we feel liberated and good, and we're connected to cosmic euphoria. And then all of a sudden a month goes by and we get hit hard with another challenge, with another limiting belief, with another ache or pain in our body, with more ascension symptoms. And then we have to peel back the layers again, right? So there really is never an end. Even death, I believe, isn't the end. So we need to be aware of that. You need to go deeper with your polarity. This is the time to do it. Before December 21st, 2020, before we step into a new year, 2021, this is your time. If you don't do the work right now, if you don't do some shadow work and soul searching at this point in time, all of those challenges, all of those limiting beliefs are going to hit you harder than ever before moving into the new year, right? And, you know, maybe your limiting belief is around abundance and finances. And all of a sudden you lose everything. And you're like, but I'm working on this. But you have to get to a certain point before you're ready to step up and consciously make a change. That change needs to happen in your mind first. You can't change anything unless you're aware of it, right? Once again. Okay. So once again, step number 1, just be aware of your limiting beliefs and polarity. Step number 2, ask deeper questions. Understand the source of the polarity, right? Do that inner work. Step number 3, to neutralize polarity, and actually there's a step number 4 that I didn't even write down, but it just popped in. Step number 3 is asking yourself how this is affecting me, and is this serving my highest vibration? So you're aware of the limiting belief, you're aware of the polarity in your own life, and you're asking yourself, is this serving my highest vibration? The answer is no. Most of the time, the answer is no, right? Then every time that thought, every time that challenge, every time that pattern comes back to you in your life, you can then recognize it. Oh, there's my limiting belief. Oh, there's my polarity aspects of self, you know? And then deeper, oh, I know this is related to a childhood trauma. Oh, I know this is related to a relationship. Okay, and it's not serving me. It's still not serving me. And that really neutralizes it. Now, the 4th step that I didn't even write down here, but of course this is an obvious step, and I do it every time I encounter some sort of challenge in my own life, which is bringing appreciation to the challenge, bringing appreciation to the polarity. That right there, especially with the 3 steps before that, will absolutely transmute that polarity energy into unity energy. You're not pushing away the challenge. You're not resenting yourself for not being strong enough because you're getting triggered or, you know, resentful or challenged. You're bringing it in. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you for getting triggered in that statement or conversation. You know, what can I learn from that? Where's that coming from? Thank you for being here, because you're allowing me to be a master of my reality. I'm not just all love and light. Let's go dark. Let's go deep. Let's go shadow, right? That doesn't scare me because I invite it in. We need to be inviting these aspects of ourselves in order to master them. You will always be scared of your deepest fears if you're never looking at them. So not only am I saying, look at them hard, understand where they're coming from, right? Ask yourself if that's serving you anymore. Update yourself to the present moment. Cool, that was a trauma in the past. That trauma identified who I was, but no, that trauma no longer serves me. That limiting belief is no longer who I am, but I appreciate it. I appreciate who I was. I appreciate the traumas that I've gone through, because that allowed me to get right here, right now, at this time. That appreciation every single time will neutralize polarity. Okay. So that's the first 2 steps in bringing yourself into unity consciousness, right? Is to really deal with the polarity. That's the hard work. That's the human stuff. That's the ego stuff, right? That's the hard stuff. Being psychic and astral traveling and lucid dreaming and telepathy and all of that great stuff, that's easy, guys. That's easy. It's easy because you are a soul. You are a divine being of light who has the ability to naturally, organically connect to the ethers, to the cosmos, to the astral realms. Hopping into unity is easy, as long as you're no longer in a tug of war with polarity, right? So the 3rd step here, to really ascend ourselves into 5D, move into unity, is, I said step number 3, bring yourself into unity, bring yourself into 5D, right? So let's talk about 5D. Let's talk about unity a little bit here. I believe that unity consciousness is 5D consciousness, okay? Okay, and then I also believe that unity 5D is simultaneous, okay? That's a really important concept, and it's very hard to wrap your head around because our minds are, you know, linear, right? Our brains are linear, so it's kind of difficult. But really, 5D and unity is everything at once. 5D, I've said it before, but I will say it a million times again. 5D is not just light and love. It is not just, whoa, this feels good all the time. 5D and unity consciousness is the way that you're perceiving the world around you, the way that you are able to navigate this world, right? The way that you are able to navigate your reactions and emotions around this world. And once again, when we let go of all fear and all limiting belief and all polarity, navigation is easy. It's very easy. We just listen to ourselves, right? Okay, so a couple of pointers here. No steps necessarily to just fully hop into unity because it is just that organic. It's that simple. But a couple of pointers. These are really big ones too. Always keep yourself open to everything. If you're wanting to step into unity consciousness, if you're wanting to step into 5D, you have to be open to everything. If you have some sort of expectation or attachment or outcome in your mind of what the next step is going to look like, then you're limiting yourself. You're limiting yourself with polarity. You're limiting yourself into 3D. The third dimension is full of space and time. If you're like, I'll only be abundant when I hustle more, you're limiting yourself. Why can't you just be abundant? Why do you have to put conditions on yourself in that way, right? Super important. Let go of all conditions you have to whatever it is that you want. So important. Okay. And then also, it's really important. So when we raise our vibration and step into unity consciousness, step into 5D vibrations, it really is everything all at once. And because I can see different timelines and I can see, you know, past, present, future, and you can too, I've just been able to develop that ability. You know, when I'm sitting at my desk, I'm seeing all possibilities of every outcome of every decision that I could potentially make in the next moment. Like, it's really overwhelming. So if you don't have a structured or analytical mind, you might get lost in the overwhelm of 5D. And I know a lot of people who are like, yeah, life, it feels good, but I'm just here, you know? And that's good, right? Because you're content in that moment and you're feeling good and you're in flow, but you're not necessarily actively creating your reality. If you're not actively creating your reality, then you're allowing other influences to create your reality for you. I don't want to freak you out, right? But it's true, and it happens all the time, and that's okay, right? So we need to actively be engaged at a free will level, right? In our thought, in our mind, engage in the reality that we want to create. Now, here's another huge issue. When we haven't done all of the work and we're still coming from a polarity place, we're like, okay, cool, I want to win the lottery. Why? Why do you want to win the lottery? Well, I want to be rich, you know, I want to be abundant, right? Okay, there's nothing wrong with being abundant. But then I have to ask the person, when you think about money, what do you think? Like, really, what do you think? Oh, well, I think about childhood and I think about lack and I think about my dad not having enough money to support his kids. And oh, wow, okay. So you think about money, you think about lack. We need to realize that we are pairing what we want with conditions, with traumas, with attachments and expectations. So when you get into 5D and absolutely everything is possible for you, we need to be able to navigate it by holding an intention, but holding an intention that is not limited by our preconceived notions of what is and is not possible. Therefore, we need to hold an intention that has no attachments and no expectations. And I'm sure most of you are like, oh my God, what do I ask for then? You know, where do I go from here? And I'll tell you, you want to go to the highest level of what it is that you want to experience in your life. If you want a new job, ask yourself why. Why do I want that new job? Because I want to feel satisfied and fulfilled every day going into work, knowing that I'm helping the collective. Great. So all you really want is satisfaction and fulfillment, right? So ask for that. Don't ask for the job, okay? Because that's going to limit you. And then you're only saying, well, I'm only going to get satisfaction and fulfillment from this new job. You're limiting yourself, okay? So here are some things, some very high level things that you can be asking for, and hopefully do a little bit of the deep diving into, do I hold limiting beliefs around abundance? Do I hold limiting beliefs around what I'm asking for? What are those limiting beliefs? Go back into the 3 steps into neutralizing the polarity. So you can ask for abundance, but if you know you have some sort of attachment to the lack or the limiting beliefs, then do the 3 steps of, or 4 steps, I guess, of neutrality, okay? Bringing neutrality to that trauma or limiting belief, okay? So here's some high level things that I think are just good for anyone as a human being to think about and to ask for. When you think about 2021, what do you want? Abundance, of course, we've already talked about that. The one that I ask for all the time, and I really feel like I've received it recently, is freedom. I just want freedom, except for time. I definitely need more time personally, but freedom, right? So, oh God, what does that mean? Freedom with work, freedom with family, freedom with your time, freedom with financially, freedom in your own family dynamic to do and say whatever it is that you feel like you want to say, right? We don't have that. Freedom, such a high level thing that reaches every aspect of our reality. A couple of other things, balance is huge. Talking about polarity, you know, balance between worlds, so important. Just asking for a higher vibration. Hey, universe, which is me, I'm ready to receive a higher vibrational frequency in my life. You can ask for that and it's going to come to you. I do want to warn you though, if you ask for a higher vibration or really anything else, anything that is not within what you're asking for, anything that is keeping you trapped if you're asking for freedom, anything that is keeping you poor when you're asking for abundance is going to leave your life, and it's going to leave your life rapidly, okay? So fair warning, don't shoot the messenger. If stuff starts to collapse in your life, that wasn't on me, that's on what you were asking for, and it's collapsing to realign to a better reality, okay? And then also you can ask for unlocking your DNA. I know a lot of you want to be more psychic. I know a lot of you want to be more tuned in. And that's possible. I believe that everything, you know, I can do, you guys can do. So you can ask for your DNA to be unlocked. If it's not supposed to be unlocked in its fullest extent until 2 years from now, and that's your contract, it's not going to be unlocked and you're not going to override your contracts. But hey, why not just ask for it, right? And see if it's available at this time. So 2 more things, and then I don't know what the time is, but if Scott has any other questions or anything else that he wants to kind of ask me, if we do have time, he can follow up with that. But 2 last things that I want to mention here. One is always maintain neutrality. Meditation, yoga, you know, walking in the woods, right, is going to be really good. Maintaining neutrality allows you to have free will, and it allows you to have complete control over your own mind and over your own thoughts. Therefore, neutrality allows you to have complete control over the reality in your life. And last thing is, it's okay to dabble in polarity. It's okay to dabble in 3D. It's okay to have a shitty day and to feel that at a deep level, right? It's okay to feel sorry for yourself. It's okay to dabble in polarity as long as you're consciously aware of it. If you're not aware of the paradigm that you're feeding, then you're living life in an unconscious way. Therefore, you're creating your next moment and your next reality, right? In an unconscious way. Therefore, you don't have control over the reality that you're living. So dabble in polarity. It's okay to be human. It's okay to laugh and smile and have a good time and go through the emotions, right? And the roller coaster ride of the ascension. just do it consciously. And that way you have more control, and therefore you have more enjoyment and overall just more happiness, because you remind yourself every day that you are the creator of this reality. Hi, Scott.
Hey, amazing stuff. Really amazing. And just a reminder to everybody that she's got a YouTube channel with 90,000 subscribers and a lot of great content. You can really see Elizabeth speaking about all these different topics. We've got a couple questions from the audience, and then I've got a question for you. The first question that came back a little while, you mentioned about being a starseed, and several people have asked, what is a starseed? How do I know if I'm a starseed?
Yeah, great question. Okay, cool. Okay, so I believe that a starseed is a soul. There's no, some people are like, oh, starseeds are only children, but they're not. Basically, starseeds are a cosmic or interdimensional soul that consciously volunteered and chose themselves to come to this planet to help aid in the ascension, the awakening, and the collective consciousness, expansion. So a lot of you who are here, a lot of you who watch my content and who have been drawn to me over the past couple of years are absolutely starseeds. And just by understanding information, you can unlock these DNA codes within yourself, whether they be physical DNA or etheric DNA. You can unlock that to raise your vibration and get even closer to source, and of course, closer to your current existence.
And what would you say are the classic characteristics of a starseed?
Yeah, so they're so across the board. Definitely this longing and feeling of wanting to go home. It's so painful, feeling like you're all alone, feeling like no one understands you, feeling like you were always the odd one out in your own family dynamic. Also feeling that way in childhood, in school, versus the other kids. Also having a very strong feeling that you are here for a reason, a strong feeling that you're here for a mission, right? That you have a purpose and a calling. Most of the starseeds that I work with and that are on my YouTube channel, they all want to know, what is my purpose? What is my mission? And I have a couple of videos out there kind of explaining how to find your mission and what kind of mission categories there are as well for starseeds. There's healers and grid workers and pillars and satellites and all of that great stuff. So it is really all across the board.
Beautiful. One thing just out of my own experience, when I've worked a lot with starseeds, frequently there's such a desire to help and support. And sometimes they get lost trying to help one particular person, right? Their boyfriend who's a drug addict. And it feels so good to get high because it reminds them of the fifth dimension. And then they feel that sense of lost. So anything you want to say about just that trap that a lot of starseeds can fall into, especially when they're younger?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's so true. I mean, you really bring up a great point. So many starseeds, they just want to give so much, and they get trapped into that, interpersonal or human dynamic. Ultimately, just asking yourself, am I living my life for me? It's like, in a way, I know that it's been indoctrinated in us that that is a very selfish way to behave and selfish way to think. I know for me, growing up as a Catholic, same thing. I mean, it's always, do what's right in God's eyes rather than do what's right for yourself. And that's selfish and that's looked down upon. There's a lot of shame and guilt around that. But if we're not aligned and healthy and abundant and fulfilled within our own system, there is no way that we can give the collective system of this conscious reality help and adding any sort of good to that. So really make sure that you are recalibrated within yourself. And then you have to ask yourself, what is not serving my highest good? Oh yeah, it is my boyfriend. Oh yeah, it is my relationship with my mother. Oh yeah, it is my relationship with my coworkers or what have you. Then you have to, create some space, step away from that, recalibrate, give back to yourself, and raise your standards. This is who I am now, and I'm only going to be interacting with those who are aligned to my highest good. And it'll all start to happen. Once again, that collapse is going to happen before you are realigned in that way.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. A lot of people are commenting on just how gentle you are. You're clear and you're wise, but you're gentle. The other question that I think is a strong one, Someone asks, it's Robert who asks, how will we know when there's a global critical evolutionary mass that will push the world into 5D realm? Or is it person by person, or will it be a global leap?
Oof, that's a great question. It's a little bit of both. Once again, it's kind of simultaneous. It's right now, for the past many years, we've had lots of star seeds, light workers, all ascending on their own path, you know, to this higher vibrational plane. It's been very difficult, as I'm sure a lot of you watching know, to really fight against an entire world that's 3D. You know, it's been very painful in a lot of ways. So we've kind of all been doing this at an individual level. Now more and more, especially with quarantine, this is part of one of the mass events that's hitting and affecting every single person in the entire world in a certain way to raise and develop our consciousness. I believe quarantine was here in a way, or this virus in a way, to really dismantle our current beliefs, our current limiting realities, and our current paradigms in order for us to rebuild. We're now all in the dismantling phase. If you've been doing the work, you've dismantled years ago, but a lot of human beings are in this the breaking down phase. And then in the later years, we're going to be building up and recreating a new reality for ourselves individually. As far as a huge event happening, I do believe that there is absolutely a very strong possibility. It's not set in stone yet. Humanity could awaken without the possibility of this global event, but it would basically look like a solar flare or some sort of solar flash event that will also pivot us completely into 5D consciousness. Once again, it's quite possible. I don't know if it absolutely needs to happen, because we are getting there on our own, slowly but surely.